Good morning and welcome to KCPS Homeroom. I'm Justin Robinson. This week launches the second semester of Homeroom. This semester we are broadcasting episodes by grade level. Our new schedule is as follows. On Mondays, pre-K and K. Tuesdays, grades 1st and 2nd. Wednesday, grades 3 and 4. Thursday, grades 5 and 6. And on Friday, we are targeting secondary students with a whole new focus on real-world learning. Our goal here at Homeroom is still the same, to offer video-based learning for elementary and secondary students. The elementary classes focus on core content areas like English, math, science, while also providing lessons in selected specials like physical education, music, STEM, and world languages. The secondary videos focus on real-world learning lessons to reinforce how classroom lessons relate to what students will experience in the real world. Again, today is for 5th and 6th grade students. We will start off with English, then math, science, African American history, and finally Chinese. Hope you enjoyed today's class. Let's get ready to learn with Miss Zeke in English.
Good morning, Kansas City. My name is Mrs. Zeke. I am an English teacher at Southeast High School in the Kansas City Public School District, and we're here to talk English. And when I say talk English, I actually mean talk about ancient China. We're going to focus on a few different things throughout our time together and bring it all together with a main objective being around the English standards. But we're going to use ancient China to help us get there today. We are going to go over the history of ancient China, looking at a timeline of events, a map, and some other visuals and some key figures that went along with it. And then we're going to build on this understanding over the next 3 episodes. You will probably want something to write with and a notebook. I have a little game for us at the end of the episode, and then you might want to jot down some notes throughout as we go. So go ahead and grab a piece of paper, grab something to write with, and let's get started. Let's make sure we know exactly where China is. Here's a map of the world. You obviously can see the United States, and our neighbor over the Pacific Ocean is China. China has the largest population in the world with 1.4 billion residents. If you think about that in comparison to the United States, we have 328 million people. So China is quite large. It's also known as having its coconut culture. And Mandarin is the most spoken language in China. Another fun fact is that they just built a 250-acre solar farm in the shape of a panda. Now that you have your bearings, let's take a look at a timeline. I want you to see the general timeline first before we zoom in on ancient China. This gives you a better understanding of what was going on in the world before the United States or America was founded. As you can see, America is down there in the green. The majority of our history is from the Native American cultures. And then, of course, we jump into when Christopher Columbus founded us. Before all of that, there's so much history in China. You can compare it to Europe in the blue and then China up on the top. We are going to zoom in this focus right here in the Shang and Zhou dynasties. So taking a closer look at that timeline, you can see we're going to be going from the 1600 BC until the Zhou dynasty ended in about 221 BC. And you can find this image, if this is interesting to you, at chinahighlights.com. So let's jump into some facts. What was going on in ancient China? So again, we're looking at the 1600s to 221 BC. Chinese civilization began along the Yellow River in the Shang era. The Shang era started when Yu was able to fix a plumbing issue, if you will, in the Yellow River that flooded all of China. And because of that, Yu Sha was his name, was the first to start the dynasties in China. Dynasty, remember, is just a family that runs a country. After the Shah dynasty came the Shang dynasty, and they spread things around in the culture. They founded bronze, which reached a cultural peak in that time. After the Shang era, there are some traditional Chinese philosophers, such as people you may have heard of, Confucius and Taoism, developed in the feudal Zhou era as China expanded in territory and population. We will get a little bit more into detail about the differences between these two dynasties here in a few seconds. So the Shang dynasty was more specifically between 1600 and 1046 BC. Some of the first historical records were found during this time, and we know that because on stone there was found ancient Chinese symbols that's still used in the writing today. And this was the earliest recorded writing, which they were using bone to do and fire. And then after the Shang dynasty, the Zhou felt like it was heaven mandated, and we'll talk about this, their gift to the dynasty. So they took over the Shang dynasty in 1045 until 221 BC. And within the Zhou dynasty were different eras, whether it be differences in the people who took over or things going on in their history. So you have the Western Zhou era, which was the most peaceful of them all, and then the Spring and Autumn dynasty, and then the warrior states that kind of take up all of the Zhou dynasty. Both the Shang and the Zhou dynasty were considered peaceful, but the Spring and Autumn and warrior states portion of the Zhou dynasty wasn't as peaceful as the Shang was before. Let's talk about this mandate of heaven. If you think about what a dynasty means, then a family who's taking over or running a country, that family would never change, ideally. But as we see here in the Chinese history, there was a change in family rulers, and the Zhou felt like they were getting a mandate from heaven. They frowned upon things that the Shang dynasty was doing, and some of it was frowned upon for various reasons, but we're not going to get into that right now. But the Zhou felt like God was telling them that it was their turn to rule. So they took it upon themselves to kill the majority of the Shang family and take over. Whether or not God was telling them to do that or they just wanted to rule is still unknown. So thinking about all of the basics of ancient China, I want to give you a minute to see if you can separate the Shang and the Zhou dynasties. So I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds. I want you to look at these descriptors and tell me, was it the Shang or was it the Zhou? So you're looking at peaceful, given the mandate from heaven, first recordings of writing, ruled for 770 years, founded bronze, and expanded Chinese territory. 30 seconds on the clock. Go. $20 seconds. 10. 5. All right, time is up. Let's take a look at our answers. Here's the differences between. I tried to trick you with the peaceful just to see if you were listening. So both had peaceful periods of time. So of course you could put them in both. The Shang held the first recordings of writing and founded bronze. Zhou was given the mandate from heaven, ruled for 770 years, and expanded Chinese territory. Wonderful job. Here's what I want you to do this week. Write down this sentence in your notebook. Some major similarities and differences between ancient China and American history are, and do some research. Over the course of the week, think about what you already know from American history. Think about what you've heard from me and what you find in your research, and do a comparison and contrast. Next week, we're going to take a look at what you've found and try to practice summarizing the main idea of those things. Again, my name is Mrs. Zeke. It's been a pleasure spending the morning with you all, and we will see you next week.
Hi, my name is John Hatch, and this is a math 5th and 6th grade lesson on understanding ratios. And what you need today is a piece of paper, but what would be great is if you have a notebook that you can keep your math notes in, and also a pencil. Our standard for today is RPA1. Understand a ratio as a comparison of two quantities and represent these comparisons. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers or values, quantities. And there are three ways to write ratios. The first way to write a ratio is in word form. And they call it that because this first example says 4:1. And in the middle there is the word to. The next way to write a ratio is in colon form. And again, the 4 and 1 are there, but in the middle, instead of the word to, there's a colon there. And even though it says 4:1, which is writing it out correctly, we say it as 4:1. The next way is in fraction form. And as you can see, it's written as a fraction, 4/1, where the first number from before is on top, the 4, and the number that's on the bottom is the 1. Just like the others, we say it the same way. This ratio is 4:1. Well, here's an example. We have 4 salads there and 1 egg, which is plenty of egg to go into the salads. So when we look there are 4 salads. So we have that number first, and in word form, it's 4:1. In the colon form, we have it written as 4:1, but again, we say 4:1. And the fraction form is 4/1. But again, we say it as 4:1. Let's look at this example. This one, we have 3 basketballs and 2 footballs. The basketballs come first, so we're going to use those numbers first. In word form, we have it written as 3:2. Again, we use the word 2 in there. It's word form. The next one, the numbers are the same, the 3 and the 2, but instead of the word 2, we use a colon there. So it now says 3:2. The next example is in fraction form. And the number that has been to the left, the 3 is on top. And the number that was the last number on the right is on the bottom. So it's written as 3/2, and we say it as 3:2. Oh, here's another example. This is one of my favorites. Chips and salsa. We see 5 salsas and 1 bowl of chips. Well, since there's 5 salsas, that number's written first. So in word form, we have it 5:1. In colon form, we write it as 5:1, but remember, you say it as 5:1. And the last example that I'm showing you is in fraction form, and it's 5/1 as it's written out. But again, you say it as 5:1. All right, so we're going to do a review real quick. How many ways are there to write the ratios? There are 3 ways to write the ratios. Those are in word form, in colon form, and in fraction form. All right, let's try a few together. So when we work on these together, we see that there are 6 peas in that pod. We also have 1 carrot. So the number that comes first is the 6, and then the 1 in our comparison. So let's look at this one. We're going to write it, in word form, and in colon form, and in fraction form. So the first one in the word form, it says 6:1. The colon form, 6:1, but we pronounce it as 6:1. The fraction form is 6/1, but as always, we pronounce it as 6:1. Let's look at another example together. This one shows bats and baseball bats and baseball gloves. There are 4 bats and there are 9 baseball gloves. So the number that comes first in this when we show up together, there are 4 bats. So that number is going to be written first and the 9 gloves will be written second. The first one is going to be in word form. And this says 4 to 9. In colon form, we are going to write it as 4:9. It said 4 to 9. And the last one in fraction form is 4 over 9, but we say it as 4 to 9. All right, let's do this example right here. Oh, this is one of my favorite snacks. This usually comes out like around Halloween time when they have candy corn. And the best combination is to have 5 peanuts to 2 candy corns. Next Halloween, try that. In word form, we put that first number there, and it's 5 to 2. That's the best ratio of peanuts to candy corn. The next one, in colon form, we write it as 5:2. But again, we say it as 5 to 2. And the next one, it's fraction form, and we write it as, yeah, you're right, 5 is on top, then 2 is on the bottom. But we say it as 5 to 2. All right, now we're getting to the point where we're going to try it on your own. So these are the ones to see that you can get them without my help. Let's look at these examples. So we have kids and bikes. On the first one, when we count the kids, we are counting 1, 2, 3, 4 kids, and then we have 1 bike. And the next example, we have 3 kids, and we have 2 bikes. And the last example, we have 3 bikes, and how many kids are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'll be sharing those. So we're going to write out these ratios in word, colon form, and fraction, and we're going to write them out for all 3 of those. So we're going to take a little break to let you write those, and then we'll be right back with it. All right, let's see how you did on this. So on this part, the first one, yeah, it's written as 4 kids to 1. So word form is 4 to 1. The next one you wrote it in was colon form, and that's written as 4:1, 4 to 1. Nice job. The next one was written as a fraction, and yeah, you had it as 4 over 1. Good job on that. So you're off to a good start. Let's look at this middle one. There were 3 kids there, and there are 2 bicycles. Word form comes first. Good. 3 to 2 is the way it was written out. The next form we're going to look at is colon form, and that is 3:2. The next one is the fraction form, and it is 3 over 2. And again, on all those, we say it as 3 to 2. All right, it looks like you're doing a nice job. On the last one, there are 3 bikes. There are 7 kids. In word form, it's 3 to 7. It's okay that the smaller number's in front because those bikes came first. Colon form is 3 to 7, and fraction form is 3 over 7. So that was a really, really good job. In review, a ratio is a comparison of 2 numbers or values or quantities. And the way that those can be written out is in word form, as in 4 to 1, colon form, as in 4 to 1 with the colon in the middle, or fraction form, 4 over 1. Hey, here's some homework for you to try as extra or additional practice. And on that one, when you count the squares, there are 14 squares and there are 6 triangles. So when you look right here, they wrote it out as 14:6, which is 14 to 6. All right, so when we go over here, this is it for our lesson today. And it has been a pleasure to do math work with you guys. And I can't wait to see you again next week. Hope you did a great job on understanding ratios. See you later.
Hello, scientists. My name is Mr. Shiva, and I am a science teacher with Kansas City Public Schools. Today, we're going to talk about life science. In this episode, we will be learning about an incredible process called photosynthesis. That's why I have this nice and green, beautiful plants around me. After this video lesson, you will be able to describe the process of photosynthesis and explain what materials are needed for photosynthesis to occur. Also, you will create your very own photosynthesis diagram with the labels and summarize the lesson. Why don't you go ahead and grab a notebook or loose paper and something to write with, and let's get started.
Okay, guys, let's talk about photosynthesis. You probably already know that all living things need energy to grow and survive. Energy gives us a power to do things. But how wild animals get food? Think about it. Can they make their own food? No. They need to eat other living organisms. Look at this slide, guys, I have created for you. Look at photos and pictures, different kind of animals. How do they get their food? Some of them eat other animals, right? And we call them carnivores. The others eat plants, and we call them herbivores. And some eat plants and other animals, and we call them omnivores. So guys, if you pay attention to the picture right there, and you see jumping kids, yes, humans are omnivores. We eat both plants and animals. But what about plants? How do plants get the food? Well, photosynthesis. Plants actually produce their own or make their own food through the process called photosynthesis. Photo means light and synthesis means combining. How does photosynthesis take place? Well, everything starts with a source of energy, sun. The process always begins when the energy from light is absorbed by proteins called chloroplasts in the leaves of the plants. Chloroplasts contain green pigments called chlorophyll. Look at this photo, which shows you cells of the plants, and you see this green substance. So that's a chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is what actually give all plants green color. So I can show you, for example, a cell plan, the model of the cell plan right here. And they're all organelles, and right here and right here, you see a chlorophyll. Oh, that's an interesting slide I decided to add for you guys. Fun fact, look at this huge leaf. Did you know that largest leaves grown on the Amazon water lily? In a single year, the plant will produce leaves of more than 2 meters across. Well, you can see that 2 kids can easily lay on it, actually. Chlorophyll uses the sun energy to convert gas, carbon dioxide, and water into energy in form of glucose. This is a food for plants, and glucose is a type of sugar. Again, materials are needed for photosynthesis: sun energy, carbon dioxide, and water. Through the photosynthesis process, oxygen released as a waste product, And we use this oxygen to breathe. We need oxygen. We cannot survive without oxygen. And just imagine, guys, if all plants are extinct, disappear, gone, do you think we will be able to survive?
In the science, we use diagrams to illustrate any kind of process. So look at my diagram. I want you to create something similar. It does not have to be a flower. It can be a grass. It can be a tree, a bush, whatever you come up with. Any kind of plant. So the process of photosynthesis starts with the sun. Sun gives out the sunlight, which is absorbed by the leaves of the plant. Also, the second ingredient for photosynthesis process is carbon dioxide, and finally water. So on the exit, we actually getting oxygen, which is waste during photosynthesis process. And the plant stores a glucose, which is energy, which means food. If you guys see on this side of my diagram, you see like little person with a happy face. It means this person is happy because of the oxygen available. So plants are so important on our earth because they produce oxygen.
Okay, scientists, let's look at the real plant. So you all know all plants have roots. Roots are anchored to the soil, and through them, the plants absorb water and minerals. Water with minerals are transported up the stem of the plant, reaching the leaves. The leaves are full of tiny pores called stomata, which absorb carbon dioxide from the air around. Now it's a chlorophyll turn. The chlorophyll in the leaves has all necessary ingredients for photosynthesis to take place. When it receives the sunlight, the process begins, and my plant starts making its own food, glucose. Plants also store their food in roots, for example, like a carrot, or in their fruits, like a pear or apple. Well, guys, photosynthesis releases oxygen as a waste product, and we all need oxygen from air to stay alive. Without plants, guys, there would be no life on the earth. There would be no oxygen to breathe or food to feed on. You're very important. All right, scientists, here's a homework. Comprehension questions. What is photosynthesis? I am sure you already know the answer. Name 3 things necessary for photosynthesis to occur, and what do you think would happen if plants became extinct? It means die out, gone. Make sure you use full sentences when you answer those questions.
You did a great job today, scientists. We have learned a lot. Let's summarize it. Today, we learned what is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process through which plants make their own food, right? Yeah. We also can explain what materials are needed for photosynthesis. Do you remember? They are sun energy, sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. We also created a diagram to show how the photosynthesis works and label it, of course. Fantastic job. Thank you so much for being with me, and I'll see you next week.
Hi,
My name is Professor Reese, and I'm going to be teaching you all about African American history. It's going to be awesome. Let me tell you a little bit about the continent of Africa. African history is exciting. It is inviting. It is very steeply rich in culture and tradition. But before we get into any of the history of the continent of Africa, let's talk a little bit about it so that we can become familiar with it. Okay, the continent of Africa, let's talk about its location. The location is in between the Indian River and the Indian Ocean and Atlantic Ocean. It is to the south of Europe. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the fantastic weather. Typically in Africa, the weather is at 84 degrees, and that is summer, spring, and fall. And then in the winter, it will drop to about 64 degrees. But then again, this varies depending on which country of Africa that we're talking about. Now let's talk a little bit about the African terrain. Africa has everything from mountains to beaches. It has deserts to wetlands. And we even have what is known as savanna. Want to know what savanna is? Savanna is a large portion of land that has no trees. No trees. Okay, at my school, we are called professors and or teachers. And at the beginning of every school year, we are designated or given an African country that we represent. With that African country, we learn all that we can through research, and then we pass that knowledge or information on to our students, or who we call scholars. Now, my country happens to be the country of Sierra Leone. What a beautiful name, Sierra Leone. And Sierra Leone means Lion Mountains. Yes, and I said it right. Not mountain lions, but Lion Mountains. Aptly and appropriately named because Sierra Leone is surrounded by rolling hills. It also has the Atlantic Ocean to the south of the country. Beautiful, beautiful country. There are two languages that are spoken in Sierra Leone, and that is the English language and a language they call Creole. And that's spelled K-R-I-O. Sierra Leone has a significant part of history that is attached to it. But let me go back just a little bit and tell you about the important minerals that are founded in Sierra Leone. And those are diamonds. Now, back to that important part of history, Sierra Leone has a connection with the transatlantic slave trade. I told you that to the south, the Atlantic Ocean, it borders to the south, and there's the Atlantic Ocean. So, Sierra Leone was actually the point where individuals, the Portuguese first, picked up Africans, slaves, and took them to Portugal. Later on, they ended up taking those same, or not same, but more Africans and slaves over to Brazil. So that's a little bit about Sierra Leone. That is the country that I represent. Now, we've learned a little bit about terrain. We've learned a little bit about Africa. Just in general terms, how long do you think it takes to get to Africa from the United States? 15 hours. I can sleep, wake up, and sleep, wake up. So it's a 15-hour journey from the United States to Africa. So we've learned a little bit about the terrain. Once again, the continent. Now, let's go into some awesome, interesting, fun facts about Africa. Fun fact number 1, and you can count these down with me. Fun fact number 1, Africa is considered the cradle of civilization. The cradle of civilization. Paleontologists, who are just scientists that study life on Earth, they found the oldest ancient bones and fossils in Eastern Africa. But wait, they did another excavation, and in the country, the African country of Morocco, they found bones that were 200,000 years plus old. So what does that mean to you? That means that Africa was the start of mankind or civilization. So that's fun fact number 1. Fun fact number 2. Did you know that Africa is the second largest country on the continent? To give you a perspective on how large Africa is, we would be able to take the United States and fit it 3 times into the continent of Africa. So that means it's got to be massive. Fun fact number 3. There are 54 countries in Africa. Can you name 5? Wait a minute. Let's have you name 4, because I've already given you 1, right? The country that I represent at my school, Sierra Leone. So if you can name 4, you're just doing great. Fun fact number 4. Africa is full of resources. I'm going to name some of the resources because there's just too many to name in this segment. Some of the resources founded in Africa is diamonds, gold, natural oil, gas, iron, and copper. But there's one resource that I thought you would particularly be interested in, and that is the resource called tantalum. Tantalum. Tantalum is a mineral that is used with all electronics. In order to operate, or for the electronic to operate, it has to use or rely on the mineral or the resource of tantalum. Now, if you call me on your cell phone, or if you text me, tantalum. If you are on your game system, playing Fortnite, forget what the other game system is, you can tell I'm not much into them. If you're into your game system and you're playing that game, the game is using or operating with tantalum. Now, tantalum is mined in the country in Africa called Rwanda. Rwanda manufactures 37% of all of the tantalum, 37% of tantalum is shipped or sent to the United States or all over the world. So that's an interesting fun fact. Fun fact number 4. Did you realize that there are 1,500 to 2,000 languages spoken in Africa? Now that's pretty awesome. Talk about a diverse population. Oh my goodness. Fun fact number 6. In Africa has the Nile River. The Nile River is the longest river in the world. Folks, it's over 4,000 miles long. Fun fact number 7. Mount Kilimanjaro, which is a mountain in Africa, is the second tallest mountain in the world. And there are 3 volcanoes in Mount Kilimanjaro. Fun fact number 8. We go to the desert. The Sahara Desert is in Africa, and it is the 3rd largest and hottest desert in the world. Moving right along. Fun fact number 9. The richest man in the world was an African, and his name was Mansa Musa. His net worth was between 300 and 400 billion. Last fun fact, number 10. The oldest university, founded in 759 AD, is called the University of Korea. The University of Korea. So those are 10 fun facts, and what I'd like you to do is share those with your family and your friends. Try to stump them, or go ahead and impart all that wisdom and knowledge that we have through the fun facts. Now, I had mentioned that we're going to be doing a timeline for our different segments. So for our first timeline, we will be exploring the famous kings and queens and warriors and ancient empires of Africa. Now that's exciting. In closing, I would like to offer up an African proverb. African proverbs are used to encourage and inspire people. The African proverb for today is, by letting a child crawl, they learn how to stand. Letting a child crawl, they learn how to stand. Well, that's all for today. You guys have been awesome, and I want to thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye now.
Hi everyone, this is Miss Lu, and this session is Intermediate Chinese. So this semester we are going to learn about Chinese idioms and the stories behind the idioms. And we will also learn how to use these idioms in sentences. And today we're going to start with our first idiom, our first story about 胸有成竹. 胸有成竹. Okay? So before we start our objective for today, students will know how to say the word 胸有成竹 and also know the story behind the idiom. Okay, things you may need a notebook and a pencil to take notes. Okay, you got 10 seconds to grab a notebook and pencil, then we will get ready to learn. Okay, are we ready? So the story, 胸有成竹的故事. So this is how we will do. We'll go over the story in Chinese first. We'll read the story together. After that, I will go over the story together with you to make sure you understand. And then we are going to write the characters together to do a practice. And then you will also have some examples of how to use it in sentences. Okay, ready? 胸有成竹的故事. Okay, the story of 胸有成竹. 北宋的时候，有一个人叫文于可，他非常喜欢画竹子。文于可家里有很多竹子，他每天都去他的院子里看竹子。时间长了，他闭上眼睛都能想象出竹子的样子来。闭上眼睛。一天，朋友们来到他家做客，他们是来求画的。朋友做客，文于可拿起笔，不一会儿就画好了。他画的竹子栩栩如生。文于可谦虚地说：“我只不过是在画之前 就已经成竹在胸了。Okay, now the story of 胸有成竹. So the story is saying that in North Song Dynasty, there was a person whose name is Wen Yuke, and he's really good at drawing bamboos. And at his home, he has a lot of bamboos, like in his yard, and he will go to see the bamboo every day to check them, are they growing well? So, and as time went, he could imagine the shape of the bamboos when he closed his eyes. And one day, some friends came and visited him. They are here asking for him to draw some paintings for them because Wen Yike was very good at drawing. And then Wen Yike took up the brush and he finished drawing very quickly, and the bamboos he drew are very lively. So Wen Yike said modestly to his friend, after his friend praising him like how perfect he drew, so he said, I just had a full picture before I draw out. Okay, so the story of 胸有成竹. So you have the full picture of the complete bamboos before you draw it in your mind. So the meaning of the idiom is that you have a well thought plan before you act. Okay, so let's together say the word after me. 胸有成竹. 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 Okay, so now it's time for us to write it all together. So I would like you to take out your notebook and let's write the character down together. Okay, 胸有成竹. 胸有成竹. Okay, 胸有成竹. 胸竖撇横竖钩横横. And then the right part, 撇横竖钩. And then here's 撇捺竖横竖. Okay, 胸 by itself it has the meaning of chest, but here it means mind. So you have the whole picture of the bamboo in the mind before you draw it. 有横撇竖横竖钩横横. 有 means has. 成横撇横竖钩. Okay, 斜钩. And then 撇点成 means finished, complete. And 竹 the bamboo. 撇横竖撇横竖钩. Okay, 胸有成竹. Let's say it together. 胸有成竹. One more time. 胸有成竹. 胸有成竹, which means you have a thoughtful plan before you act. Okay, so let's see some examples of how to use it in a sentence. The first one, 我对这次考试胸有成竹. So before the test, you are very confident of this test. You can say, 我对这次考试胸有成竹. Okay? And also the second one, 好好准备才能胸有成竹. So to prepare, get ready, then you can have a thoughtful plan before you act. So you can be very confident. Okay? And then 天天胸有成竹地说这道题我会回答. So the 天天, which is a person's name, 胸有成竹地说 said confidently, I can answer this question. Okay? So there's 3 examples. 我对这次考试胸有成竹. 好好准备，才能胸有成竹。天天胸有成竹地说，这道题我会回答。Okay, so these are 3 examples of how to use this idiom. 胸有成竹 and 作业, your homework is your turn. So I would like you to practice writing 胸有成竹 3 times by yourself as we read it together earlier. And also try to create a sentence with 胸有成竹 by yourself. See if you can use it. Okay? This is Miss Lu, and it has been my pleasure having you in my class today. I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Miss Lu, and thank you to all the classroom teachers today. They will all be back next Thursday with lessons again targeted for your 5th and 6th grade students. Tune in tomorrow, Friday, for the launch of our new real-world learning show for secondary students. Thank you all at home for joining us. Have a great day, and remember, continue learning throughout the day.
Hello, we're happy to have you visit Carver. We are a dual language school where our students become truly bilingual and biliterate.
Welcome to Carver Dual Language.
Hola, bienvenido al primer grado en Carver. Welcome to first grade in Carver. In kindergarten and first grade, all students learn to read and write in Spanish.
Welcome to fourth grade at Carver. In fourth grade, our students have the opportunity to join our robotics team. Our students work together on a community project and learn to code a robot's movements. By sixth grade, Carver students are truly bilingual and biliterate. Students can fluently speak, read, and write in both Spanish and English. Carver students move on to much success in middle school, high school, and beyond.
We celebrate Hispanic heritage throughout the year at Carver Dual Language. Each year, students develop a plan to make goods to develop and to sell at our mercado. This is our annual fall market that classes have booths that students come together and sell their items that they've created. Staff, community members, family, parents, grandparents, all can come together, buy the goods, and celebrate Hispanic heritage together.
In Carver, we have an involved PTA where parents and families can be part of our school community.
Thank you for joining us on this tour. If you would like to schedule a personal tour or learn more about our school, please call 816-418-4925.
I am Lincoln Middle.
At Lincoln Middle School, students discover their talents and passions, where teachers plant the seeds of lifelong learning.
I am Lincoln Middle.
Where excellence is nurtured. Students develop the skills to be successful in school, career, and beyond.
Je suis Lincoln Middle.
Lincoln Middle is the public school where your child will thrive and grow. Open a world of possibilities. Apply today. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Lincoln Middle.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
I love Southeast because of the culture, the band program, and restorative justice.
I love Southeast because of the academics, sports, and students.
I love Southeast because of the people, the energy, and the advanced classes.
It's not alike. I love Southeast because the students here at Southeast are full of potential and they believe in achieving anything.
We are Southeast. Southeast. We stand shoulder to shoulder.
Join the Southeast family. Enroll today.
Kindergarten is great at Kansas City Public Schools.
I know they have really good teachers. I know this is a great school.
They teach them stuff that I thought my kids would never be able to know at the age of 5.
Since deciding to send our kiddos to a neighborhood school, we've become even more of a part of our community.
Now is the time to enroll your future kindergartner for the new school year. Visit enrollkc.org today.